Hello, this is Laura, healthy carnivore. As you can see, it's 2 days before Christmas, so I'm being festive. I'm going to go over some stuff tonight. So, first, I'm going to start with my name on here, Healthy Carnivore. I am a registered nurse. I have been a nurse for over 22 years. I have been carnivore for 5.5, lion for 2. And prior to that, I did keto for 28 years. So, I'm going to go over some ideas that have been given to me to kind of go over with everybody. So for this evening, I'm going to go over, can the carnivore or keto style diets, can they cause deficiencies? And I have some hot cocoa loco that I'm drinking as like a hot chocolate. So I'm using that. Hello. Yes, you did. You caught me live. That is good. So hopefully you're having a good time. And remind me where you're from. Like what location are you in? I'm in West Central Illinois. As far away from Chicago as you can almost get. I'm on the opposite side of the state. So, what I'm going to go over tonight is, can the carnivore or ketogenic diet cause deficiencies? Just because our diets, whether you're doing keto, ketovore, or carnivore, those are all nutrient dense. So, if people eat a leaner version of carnivore, that's kind of where I've worked with people that I find that they have more deficiencies. The reason that would be is because a lot of those, like A, E, D, and K vitamins, are held in fat. They're fat soluble. So if you're not doing, if you're eating a very lean form of carnivore or keto, which I did way back in the day, I did very lean keto for like the first 5 years, until my hair started breaking off and falling out. So if you are doing that, you may have to do some other things that we talk about in here. So the first thing, this is something that you'll kind of notice first on when you are transitioning from the standard American diet and transitioning to either keto, ketovore, or carnivore, any of the ketogenic type eating, is that when you cut out carbohydrates, you'll have a whoosh effect. And that is all of this fluid is going. And when that happens, magnesium, potassium, sodium, all of those things go right out with it in the urine. So you have to replenish that. Um, I like the electrolytes. I don't have to do them. I do them because I like Coco Loco. Um, and it's probably not 100% clean, but so far I haven't had any bad symptoms come up from it. So we'll see. If there is, I will report back and let you know. So, one of the first things that you may notice when you transition to this, and it can happen even different times. So, I've been doing this for 5.5 years doing carnivore, and there still have been times where I've been really good. I haven't had any like leg cramps, sleep problems, any of that kind of stuff. And then one week I'll just have it. Like when we went to Keto Palooza, um, I didn't drink as much as I normally did. I didn't have my Soleil. I didn't have any. I did have salt with me. I just was too busy and I didn't, put it under my tongue or anything. So I did have muscle cramps. Now I slept like a baby because we walked everywhere there. So, and we did a lot of sightseeing, me and my husband, while we were there. So, but if you have that, that can be magnesium deficiency. So most of the times you'll get muscle cramps, you'll have fatigue, you can have anxiety, you can have poor sleep, and you can even have irregular heartbeats. Um, yeah, as a nurse, many times I have put people on magnesium riders, mag riders, we called them, and K riders, also for potassium when they have irregular heart rhythms. It just depends on what's causing it. So, um, things that you can do if you start to have those symptoms. For one, try to prevent it if you can first. So, some of the ways that you can prevent that is you can include some organ meats, not every single day, but twice a week is okay. If you don't like organ meats and you do like an organ supplement like that ancestral, I can't ever remember their name, but it's something ancestral supplements or something. But anyway, they have a really good liver supplement. I would not take that every day because you're going to end up with vitamin A toxicity. So you want to watch for that. Shellfish, like oysters, if you like oysters, I do not. I can't do any of those things. Any of the crustaceans, just ugh, I cannot. So if that doesn't help, or if you can't eat those things, you can always do a supplement. You have magnesium glycinate, which is good for sleep. It's kind of good for the cramping. Citrate is if you can't go to the bathroom, then magnesium citrate is the one that you want to take. But that's not one I would take all the time. That would only be if I had that issue. And I don't think if you're eating enough fat that you will. And then you have malate if needed. I really prefer the glycinate. I think it covers more of the bases. It's kind of broad and it covers more items. So that's what I do. So yeah, so let's see. Jill says Central Virginia farm country. Perfect. I love farm country. Deer season here again Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week, and then in January they're going to give us another one for deer season. So let's see. So that is awesome. And Pennsylvania, hi Michelle. We have a lot of McDermott's up here where I live. I mean, down like in Adams County, Quincy, Illinois, um, Carthage, Hancock County, stuff like that. We have a lot of McDermott's. And then Laura Sluger just had a hot chocolate element. Yeah. Yeah. Now I never did have the chocolate one. I got like that 8 pack and I didn't have the one that was plain chocolate, but yeah, I'd be willing to try. Let's see. And Michelle Baker is watching from Salem, Oregon. Awesome. What is the weather where you guys are at? Today we got to 41. And then Laura is from Southern Idaho. Awesome. Somebody asked me today, like, where would I move? And I was like, Montana. I started naming all these places other than Illinois. And he goes, what's wrong with Idaho? And I was like, I don't know. I've never been there. Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just have nothing to base on because I've never been there. Kat says, "Hi Laura. Whenever you schedule live, it shows a time that has already passed instead of the time it will start." Okay, so I think that's a StreamYard thing that when I go in and make it, it puts it out there. But on like I only do like 5:30 Central Standard Time every Monday. Um, I don't know how to change that, but I know that that's what it shows. And then after I go out and put like it won't let me put in a thumbnail ahead of time either. I have to wait till after it's done, and then it lets me put in a thumbnail, which my thumbnail actually says 5:30 Central Standard Time. So I'll play with that and see if I can get that figured out. Well, hi B, how are you doing? I'll bet it's nicer there than it is here. Although today I can't be a baby. It was 41, 42. Michelle says Oregon has been raining for the last few days. I'm not sure. Do you guys get a lot of rain? You might. And Michelle has a question. I'm 9 months strict carnivore, fatty meats. I'll add butter if things seem like not enough fat. Drink bone broth with butter. My hair is three-fourths gone. Ugh, added more protein and fat. Okay, so there's a few questions. Is have you had your thyroid numbers checked? And when I say thyroid, I do not just mean TSH, T3, T4, free T3, T4, or other ones that you need to also have done. Um, and I don't know if you do a like vitamin A or if you take anything in, but man, when was taking a lot of liver in, I was losing it by handfuls. Literally, it was handfuls. So that is something that I would look at. Um, do you have any other do you have any autoimmune conditions? Because that is something that would be useful in knowing some other things. And then your eyebrows, on the ends of your eyebrows, like from here across, do you still have really good thick eyebrows or are they really thin or non-existent? Because that's also a telltale sign a lot of times of thyroid. So if you give me those details, that'll help me see if I can help. Um, I had to do away with all the dairy and I increased my fat by getting like fat from the butchers and added that in. And that seemed to help get like the hormones a little happier. That also helped um, with my hair because my hair got really dry and brittle when I was doing that lower fat keto. Um, I mean, it would just break off like this far down the shaft of my hair, and like I look like I had parvo, which is a dog disease, in case somebody doesn't know. Let's see, Tara. Hello, Tara. How are you? Or Tara, sorry. Um, that dog is super cute. I got to keep it quiet because I'm trying to look around for one. I was like, I like that dog, and he's in the other room. I don't want him to hear. So, but I am looking. Okay. You are taking iodine. I take D3, K2, no autoimmune. Okay. So on the iodine, how long have you been doing the iodine? How much of it are you doing? And did you start slowly and work your way up? Thank you, Tara. Yes. Dollar General or Dollar Tree. I don't remember. I've had it for 2 months, so I don't remember where I got it, but I thought, why not? Michelle, I do have a group that you can join. Let me see if I can find that really quickly. I'll see if I can find the link and get it in here for you. It is a Marco Polo group. Well, there's other options. So I have memberships that have all different levels. Um, let's see. Let's close that. I think I'm going to try this. We'll see if this works. So I'm going to put this in there in case you want it. So what we have done, and I'll hit that in just a second, is we have Marco Polo groups. Now I also have like groups on here that I can do like content that's just for them. Like when I make my products, a lot of times I will do that in the members group. And they see it, and I think after a week I can like kick it out to the rest of like regular. So we do that, and then we have a Marco Polo group where you basically have 24/7 contact between the other people in the group, myself, and then Robin Heron, which is Carnivorous Grandma. And she is wonderful. She gives lots of good information, but that is a possibility. It is 19.99 a month, but I will promise you, like at first, when we first started talking about doing it, I was like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And I was like, are we going to be able to give people their money's worth and stuff like that? But personally, I should have to pay in too because I feel like I get a lot out of it as well. But I would say that the people who are in that group would tell you I feel like they do get their money's worth. They can ask any questions. They can throw us information. I mean, we just roll stuff off of each other, whether we're having a good day, we've done our exercise, we didn't do our exercise, we're sore, this is what we're eating today. We were having trouble with sleep. What do you think we just have those kind of conversations. So what we did is we each downloaded a free app called Marco Polo. And then you can go out to either my YouTube channel and click like you can click this link and it'll take you there to the join button. And then it's like um Felines Carnivore 24/7 Life, I believe is what it's called. And click on that. And then you send me your email address, which I have my email listed underneath my description. So you send me your email and then I send you a link, and then you're in that group. Now if you want to just be one-on-one in a group like that, where you just want it to be you, me, or me, you, and Robin, or something like that, we also do offer that. And we do have somebody we do that right now. So that is completely up to you if it sounds like something you want to do. So, yes. And I do think we have good information. Karen, good evening. We're hanging out in the mid 40s, Michelle says, 40s to 50s. So, yeah, that isn't bad. We don't have any total dry days in the forecast, but the rain is continuous. Timing is everything. That is true. Well, thank you, Tara. I think it is too. I think it is a really good support system. And it's nothing to take anything away from like some of the bigger groups of people, Bella's and Hogan's. I mean, great, great information, great moderators, great people that work with them. We just are trying to stay smaller. We do individual groups that will go no higher than 10 people in that group, including us. Um, so there'd be 8 people plus us two. Um, and then, like I said, some people prefer just more one on one with the two of us, or I have one that just wants my back and forth with them, and that's fine too. So there's options out there. But anyway, if that's something you want, I will put this in there and you can send me your email and I will let you know. Let me put right real quick what this is for because they'll be like, what is join what? It's funny, we talk about just about everything. Okay. So that link should take you to my site and that otherwise, if you want to come in under Robin Heron, Carnivorous Grandma, you just go to her page, Carnivorous Grandma, GRAMA, and hit the join button, which I think you can find it underneath there, but it's easier to do it that way. Oh, that's right, Michelle Baker. I do remember writing your name down. You did get your order on Friday, but due to the schedule of business, I didn't get to open it until today. I'm most excited for the rosemary tea tree shampoo bars. I agree. Now, if you haven't used natural shampoo, be sure to follow, like I gave directions in there. You should be able to find them in there where you have to do like the apple cider water rinse sometimes. Not everybody. If you have really short hair, like the men don't seem to have to do that. But that's to get rid of all that other junk that's kind of built up on your hair. Otherwise, it can kind of get really, really dry. Otherwise, it's really been a good turnout. Everybody's loved it. I've used it for a long time. My family's used it for a long time. Most of my poor patients have all done it. So let's see. Hey, Charlie. Merry Christmas to you too. Yes, they do. They need to come. I like that. Hmm. Trying to think. I got one heck of a package today at work too. I come back from seeing patients and my desk was just covered with boxes. Now, two of them were my Amazon boxes. Let's just be honest. I'll say it. But there was a huge cooler box on there. And I'm like, I didn't order anything that has to stay cold. So I was like, what the heck? Well, it was from Omaha Steaks and one Mr. Russell Mitchell, Mr. Homesick Buckeye. He's Santa Claus this year, apparently, which it'll be put to good use. So I haven't called him yet. I'm going to call him tomorrow because I can't call him tonight because I won't get off the phone because we end up talking for like 3 or 4 hours and then I can't, and I'll be asleep. So I will wait till tomorrow. Yes, it was very nice. Very nice. Although he did say on there Laura and Paul, so I feel like I'm supposed to share whatever. Anyway, so getting back to what deficiencies you possibly could have, another one is potassium. So the potassium ones are pretty, I shouldn't say pretty easy to tell that they're different than the magnesium, but for me, a nurse, we know like there's tetany, you've got the muscle tremors, you got the real tight muscle, potassium. When you have the cramping, that's magnesium. So muscle weakness, really bad cramping. And when I say cramping, usually with potassium, it is like that. You can't even move it hardly. Where like the other kind in like the back of your leg, I mean, it hurts, but you can move those. So, another thing with potassium deficiency is really severe constipation. Now, I've had some people say, well, when I switched to carnivore, I only go to the bathroom like 2 times a week. am I constipated? And I'm like, no. If you're not having to bear down really hard, and push, then no, you're not. It's just you're utilizing the majority of what you're eating. You don't have all the byproducts and the fillers and the fiber and the junk to work through. But if you're not having that problem, you're not having intestinal pain, you're not having those issues, you're fine. Another one with potassium is severe fatigue. And I do mean fatigue. It's like somebody wrung you out and there you have nothing left. I mean, it is just like when you're a new parent and like after the fifth day of having absolutely nothing but broken sleep, and maybe the longest sleep you had was like an hour, that kind of just fatigue. So, preventative or ways to correct it. Again, I always say if you can try to prevent it, that's going to be your best way. Is eating fatty fish such as salmon, which I can do salmon, beef and eggs, plenty of potassium. If for some reason you need to do more, um, bone broth tends to have more potassium in it. And then you can get a supplement. You can buy a supplement, and I do have that, and that is potassium chloride, and it's 99 milligrams. And I've taken it this whole entire time. I take it with my magnesium and my zinc before bed, and I've done it the whole time. My labs have been good. I haven't had too high a potassium or had my heart rate go up, nothing. It's been really good. So that has worked for me. And I'm really like, I can only do egg yolks once in a blue moon, and then I can do beef, lamb, deer, trying to think what else. Elk. I haven't tried bear since I've done this, so we'll see. But those things. Of course, they always say that you could potentially, I think if you're dabbling in carnivore, but you're still trying to stay in the standard American diet, which I do see some people doing, I do think you can have a vitamin C deficiency if you're playing in both sides of that, because glucose goes into the same receptor that vitamin C does. They basically are shaped almost exactly the same. So if you're taking in carbs, that's going to block that area. You don't require as much vitamin C when you're not taking that in, and you do have enough in the meat. So I would say, as long as you are not trying to be in both worlds. Like I know somebody whose spouse, um, they said the other day, well, they say they're carnivore, but during the day at work, they're eating like, the party food and the pizzas and the stuff that everybody brings into work. But then when they come home, they're like, oh, I'm just going to have a steak. And it's like, well, you're already eating the other stuff. You might as well just eat the other stuff. I agree, Charlie. Russ is a good dude. So, if you have vitamin C deficiency, which I can't hardly imagine you would, bruising, bleeding gums, and if your immune system is just tanked. Um, there are a lot of things, though, that can really kind of wreck your immune system. So, I'm not going to get into that tonight. I just got done taking care of two patients today who forgot to tell me until after I'd been there and back and was gone that they had a condition that's very contagious, um, which I'm not concerned because I have the treatment for that. So I'm not worried about it and my immune system will fight it. But this is like the fifth time for the one lady and the fourth time for the other person. And I'm just like, okay, so anyway, if you have vitamin C issues, you can do liver and kidney. So, like if you're going to do that a couple times a week, you could do either liver or kidney. I really like kidneys. So, like with our deer, we always keep the kidneys and the liver. And I really do like the kidneys. I don't know if I could eat the kidneys and like cut it up into steaks and just eat it that way. I haven't tried, but I've ground it up into burger. I like it. So you could do that because that does have a little bit of vitamin C, but the main thing is you can always supplement and you can do 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. It is not going to hurt you. But I would say if you can just get away from those carbs, you should not have any trouble with vitamin C deficiency. Vitamin D deficiency um, And this is one that a lot of people, like my mom had this years ago, and I was like, you either have like leukemia or you are deficient in vitamin D. She was having femur leg pain, like down in the bone in her thighs. I mean, just ache, ache, ache. And that's the only two times I've ever seen it is leukemia or vitamin D deficiency. And hers was vitamin D deficiency, thank God. Um, but bone pain, fatigue, muscle weakness, and again, low immunity, catching everything because that vitamin D is so important for our immunity, and so is the high fat. Let's see. So Kat says, my husband's scalp is still really dry, 2 years, mostly carny. He does use your bars. I wonder if he is deficient in something. Has he done an apple cider rinse to his scalp? So I would do like half and half water to apple cider vinegar and put it just at the roots and kind of work and make sure that he doesn't have any kind of a fungal type thing, because a lot of times you'll have that. And the other thing I would say he may be deficient on, because most men are deficient, is zinc. And I would do that. So I would try the apple cider vinegar. You just have him put it on and just rub it in. Don't get it in his eyeballs because it burns like a sunny. But then just kind of massage that throughout the hair. Let it sit for a few minutes. He can walk around smelling like a salad. And then have him go rinse that out with just normal water, and then blow dry or whatever he does. I don't know if men blow dry their hair. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But you know, and then see if that works. If that doesn't, I would look at adding the zinc. And does he take any like omega-3 fish oil, like any cod liver oil? Because that could be another one. Um, so with the vitamin D, you can prioritize with fatty fish, egg yolks, liver. Um, you could get daily sun exposure. Of course, we're going into this type of season where it is um, kind of hard to get out in the sun as much as we do during the summer. And then, of course, you can take the K2D3 supplement to get enough of that. And you want at least the 5,000 of the D3 and 100 micrograms of the K2. I personally do 10,000 and 200. So I do two of those that I show everybody. The Ideal, or Deal is the name of the brand that I use from Amazon, and I do two of those during the winter. So I have tried those. Omega-3 imbalances. So this is funny. Good question, Kat. So symptoms of this are dry skin, dry scalp, inflammation, brain fog, and joint pain. That is showing that the fatty, like, the omega-3 imbalances. Part of that could be, I'm not sure, you said he's mostly carny, but if they have too much of the omega-6, and it'll kind of counteract the omega-3. That's why it's good to take omega-3. Um, Now I will tell you, like, if he likes salmon, if he likes sardines or mackerel, then he can get that in that way too. And that, I mean, that's probably a better way of doing it. But I do the cod liver oil, and I've done it for a long time. And then another one that you can get is iodine deficiency. And the symptoms of that are fatigue, cold sensitivity, hair loss, and thyroid issues. But just like she was asking about her hair loss and with the iodine, is when I first looked into doing iodine, I had the 5% Lugol's from J. Crow, I think, and I just jumped in. I don't even remember how many drops, but it was a lot of the 5%. And of course, hair's falling out everywhere. So I was like, oh, I must not need iodine. Well, then I just quit cold turkey, which is not the right way to do it. And if anybody hasn't told you, nurses are the worst patient. No, we're the second worst patients. Doctors are the worst, but we don't even take our own advice sometimes. But I just started thinking about it, and I thought, hey, dummy, you went from not taking any iodine to you slammed yourself with it. So I went out and got 2 bottles of the 2%, and I started with 2 drops every day for like 3 days, and then bumped it up to another drop and another drop until I got it to where it was like 2 droppers. Then just recently I switched over to that 5%. That seems to have helped kind of titrating that up kind of slow instead of jumping into it. So that might be something for you. But I have like I was having like I always have had the real cold hands, which I just thought went with being a nurse, but apparently it has more to do with your thyroid and your iodine. So I do that because I do eat some like sardines once in a blue moon, but it's not my favorite thing. I'd just rather eat beef, deer, and lamb and ribeye fat. So things that you can do is you can incorporate seafood. If that doesn't work, then like I said, you can do the Lugel's iodine drops. Um, and if you're concerned, you can always have some lab work done and see kind of where you're sitting on that. If you use a company called Own Your Own Labs to order your labs, make sure that you have a lab in your area that accepts those orders from them because they don't always have a diagnosis code and some of those labs will not, like LabCorp. Some of the LabCorps, if they're kind of in with like a hospital system or a doctor's office, sometimes they won't take them, but the standalone ones kind of do. But I would just make sure before you go out there and pay for something like that, because once you paid for those orders, you got it. You've paid for them and they're yours. But if you can't use them, they're not really any good. So, electrolyte imbalances. So, of course, we all know about those. If you've been doing this for very long, symptoms can be headaches, dizziness, muscle cramps, and fatigue, known as the keto flu. So, we have all had that. So I completely passed out next to my bed. I stood up because when I wake up, I'm up and moving, and I right down I went. G back in the day, she got up. I think she passed out on her bed and hit her head. I don't know that I remember Robin ever saying anything about having anything bad like that happen. But then I've had other people I worked with that they're like, yeah, I got up and went to walk in the living room and face planted. And I'm like, not good. So when that happens, you definitely know that you need to, for one, stay hydrated because as you're losing all of this inflammation, all the water's going and then all the electrolytes. So you want to put back the water and you want to add electrolytes. So you can do that with like just putting the salt under your tongue. You can make the Soleil water and put a teaspoon of that in like 8 to 16 ounces of water. There's electrolyte drinks that you can make. I think Nisha and Ken Berry years ago. I cannot. It wasn't. Was it Ketorade? Might have been Ketorade, I think was what they called it, but they made their own. So you could do that. You can make up your own if you have potassium, magnesium, and the sodium powders and you want to mix them. I'm not that good at that. So I'm going to use things like Element or Salty or one of those things. Hey, Kenneth, I do have holiday spirit. Tell her I said hello. I should have worn this for my patients today. It was so cute. One of my patients, the one that he's probably my favorite. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but he's my little veteran that's 91. But he's got a wallet that's just like a bifold wallet. And that thing, I mean, it's a old leather one, but I mean, that thing is it's probably over 20 years old. So today, before I was getting ready to leave, I set the present in his chair, his lift chair, because he was in the kitchen, and out the door I went. So he had that to open up. Let's see. Cat says he doesn't take any fish, anything. Okay. So I would see if he's willing to do that or if he's willing to eat some of those fatty fish. If you ever have trouble, if you're somebody that takes fish oil, you like the benefits of it, and you get like that burp, you burp up fishy taste, put them in the freezer. Keep them in the freezer and just take them out of there when it's time to take it. Take one and take it because it will sink to the bottom of the stomach when it's froze, and all the stomach acid and stuff will sit on top of it, and that'll push that down instead of it sitting up on top of the acid and coming back up. If they have that problem, I have had people had that problem. Let's see. Michelle asked if I have a YouTube lesson on castor oil. Yes. Yes, I do. So if you go and I would look under health. So I have playlist, and I believe if you look under health, you'll see that. Yeah, it should be under, I'm pretty sure it's under health that I did that. I have a lot of playlists, so it's hard for me to remember, but I'm pretty sure it's under that. And I think you can go on my page, and then I think there's a search bar, and I think you can put like castor oil packs, castor oil, things. So you can always check, but I am sure I do have that. Now this one kind of cracks me up. So this is something they said you could have from this way of eating. I don't think you would ever in a million years have this if you are really doing a lot of the red meats. Now, maybe if you're doing like some people don't really like red meats or they're doing like the chicken, the turkey, and the fish, maybe you could get it then. But I can't believe if you're eating red meat, you would ever have a folate deficiency. But if you do, fatigue, poor concentration, of course, anemia, you're going to be low in your iron, and mouth sores. So here you'll have them just like canker sores. You'll have those, but you get them in the corner of the mouth sometimes. That is a folate deficiency. So eating liver, red meat, and egg yolks. And it says if you need to supplement, you could take like B12. But if you're going to do a B12, I would do sublingual. I wouldn't do the one you swallow because the stomach's going to break it down. But if you're eating enough red meats, like I said, my B last time I had it done, their high range is at 2000 and I was north of 2000, so I was way over the 2000 after 5.5 years. Now, last year, I think I was like at 1800 or 1900. But previous to doing this, when I was just keto, I was anemic. I was always very, very low. So I always took a B12 and it would barely get me up to like the bottom rung of normal. So that is something you could do. Um, General tips that I would give you for prevention would be trying to do multiple groups of meats if you can. If you can tolerate, fish, fatty fish, seafood, red meat, anything and the high fats and some of the organ meats mixed in 1 to 2 times a week. Don't overdo that. And if you can do bone broth. Some people have histamine issues, so they cannot do like the pork. They can't do bone broth as well. They can't do chicken, turkey, or the egg whites as much. Um, so if that is something, then you get to eat lion diet with me, and you get to eat the majority of all the red meats, which I'm fine with. Um, you can Another thing is testing. So, I always recommend that before you switch to this diet, if you haven't switched yet, is to get a good blood panel of your minerals, your vitamins, your CBC with diff, CMP, complete metabolic panel, TSH, T3, T4, free T3, free T4, um, LH, luteinizing hormone. Course, females, have your estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. If you have a uterus, you still have progesterone. If you don't, you won't. Men having the testosterone tested, those are things that I would have tested. And then I would do that as you can afford it. But, like every 6 months until you kind of get to that place where, everything's kind of set. I just do them one time a year now. I'm not really concerned. I mean, my total cholesterol could go to 600, 800. I wouldn't care because I know what the important numbers are. My triglycerides stay extremely low. My HDL is good and my LDL is high, and that's good. When we look at people, and this is the funny thing, is if you look at people during the whole 2020-ish thing, um, people who had low LDL, low cholesterol, also had low vitamin D because guess what? Vitamin D is a hormone. And if you don't have the fat and you're taking a statin, guess what you don't have? An immune system. So those people did the worst. It didn't matter what their comorbidities, it didn't matter if they were obese, didn't matter if they smoked, didn't matter if they were on dialysis, didn't matter if they were diabetic. We could have a 25-year-old whose stuff was in the tank, who had already been on all the statin stuff, who had no vitamin D, had nothing, and we could guarantee that that person was not coming off the vent, and the person next to them could have been 85 and their LDL was high and their total cholesterol was high and their vitamin D was high, and they'd make it off the vent. And I'm like, does nobody see the correlation here? It was like, wake up, people. Michelle says, yes, it is the second video. Oh, perfect. How's that for a memory? So, if you're looking to find out the benefits of castor oil and like the castor packs and different things that you can do, you can go to my YouTube under the playlist, under health, and she says it's the second video. Wonder what my first video was on there. I don't remember. But anyway, there's a lot of good information on that one. And I do love castor oil. And this is not medical advice, but I do put castor oil directly in my eyeballs every single night and been doing it for years and no longer wear bifocals. In fact, I was looking through my phone the other day trying to find a picture of my husband and his dog for my mom to paint. And I was looking for one. I knew I had this one and I kept going back and I went back to when I was 49 and I'm 53. And I was like, oh, because they were is that called Invisalign where like you go out in the sun and they automatically change? And I was like, oh, I was like, why was I wearing sunglasses there? And I was like, oh, that was when I was wearing bifocals and I don't wear bifocals and I don't have contacts. So it has lots of good things it can do. Another person to look up if you want to go down a rabbit hole and discover a lot of information about castor oil is Dr. Barbara O'Neill. She has lots of good stuff out there. So, um, supplement wisely. I would not do a ton of supplements if you feel like you're getting what you need from your food. But if you do have some of these issues, then you may have to do that. I know people, and myself, I had to do some hormone therapy replacement. My testosterone was in the tank, and my testosterone used to be really high. And my estrogen was gone. Now, progesterone doesn't matter because I have no womb, and I'm happy with that. But the other two, I did have to do that. Then as I increase my fats, and like I said, I'm an 80-20. I do 80% fat to 20% protein. And that has done the best for me. I'm not saying that's right for every single person because I think other people, we're all different. Some people do better the opposite of that. I wouldn't say 20% fat. I would never do that. I would at least be doing 60% fat. But definitely with the iodine, you kind of got to be careful. You want to start very low, slow, and titrate up, a few drops at a time. And like with vitamin A toxicity, it can take a little time for that to get out of your system. But once you stop doing, too much of the vitamin A or liver or anything like that, I had flank pain, I had eye flashes, and then I had, like I said, the handfuls of hair, and it didn't take very much time once I got completely off of any too much liver that I was mixing in. I got better very quickly. So Michelle Baker, oh, you're looking for that with the lymphatic system. Very important with the lymphatic system. The other thing, and I may have talked about it on that video, but with the castor oil, is you can look up like where you have lymphatic, drain, like where you have your ducts and then where all it's going to drain because you want to move them to the direction where they need to drain. So you have some in your armpits, chest, neck, back here, groin, all the way down to your ankles. But you can put the castor oil on there and you can actually do massaging of that to those areas and kind of drain that down so that it drains where you want it to. And I might have done some of that in that video. If not, I do know you can go out on YouTube and it will be out there. So I think, unless you guys have any questions, I think that is what I've got. Let me tell you what next week is going to be. I made up a whole bunch today. Today I had like 15 minutes and I didn't take lunch because I wasn't hungry. Um, I ate a great big breakfast. I don't even know if I'm going to be hungry. I'm not hungry now, so I probably won't eat. But I was sitting there and I was like, started making stuff up. So the next week, what I'm going to do is carnivore healing. Um, and it's going to go over some of the things that we have seen that it actually helps. They say that you can't say that you cured anything with carnivore, although I think many people will disagree, just like I was borderline, and I mean just a baby hair away from type 2 diabetes in 1991, and it's 2025 almost, and I still haven't turned into one. So I feel like, I mean, that to me is a cure. But anyway, so that's what we're going to go over next week. So I think that's all I have for tonight. I'm going to have to go rewarm this up. This cup doesn't do very good. I gave the good one to my husband. It's camouflage. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can always leave them out in the comments. Um, or if you have ideas for a show that you want me to do, I do several weeks that I've kind of put together. Not that I can't throw somebody's in there. If you guys, there's something you want me to go over specifically, just put it in the comments and I will do my best to throw that together. I want all of you guys to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I do say that. Merry Christmas. Yes, you are welcome. That's good, Michelle. I'm glad. Yes, I do want, she says that I help her with information and she intelligently argues with her doctor because I have helped her learn so much of that, which is great. I want people to, I don't like, I don't go out of my way to be an asshole to anybody, but like if they get indignant and talk down to me, that's not going to fly because I've been doing this for 33 years, which is longer than they went to school. So I have been away from the standard American diet for a long, long time, more than some of them have been alive. So that is okay, Elizabeth. You can definitely come back and watch it. So Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I will be back next Monday. So I'll be back before the new year anyway. And we'll do another live there. So I will see you guys. And as I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat.